Get me some peoples up in here. Just want to talk to y'all. Morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, my peoples. Just wanted to talk to y'all this morning. Excuse me, let me brighten that up a little bit. There we go. Good morning. So, I did a video yesterday pretty much on funeral services or, you know, what I believe funerals typically are designed to do. Now, for those people who are losing someone, who have just lost someone, or, you know, have been down that path, you know what I mean? What I believe happens at that time, hey, good morning. What I believe happens at that time is you are brought to your lowest energy so you can rebuild some stuff. It has to be, good morning. It has to be so you could rebuild some stuff. You know what I'm saying? So remember how I was telling y'all before, that, I'm sorry, y'all, I'm trying to reverse. But remember when I was telling y'all before about the energy and stuff like that, like you could read a lot through a person's energy, right? So let's just say, for instance, if they had a low energy for something, the way that they respond to that right there is going to show you how low their energy is or how high it is. You know what I mean? So if, for instance, let's just say, for instance, somebody lost some money. If their energy was already low, they're going to have a totally different reaction if their energy wasn't low when they lost that money. If their energy wasn't low when they lost that money, they say, dang, they'll take accountability. I should have put it in my pocket. Oh, well, it'll come back. And they go on with their day. You know what I mean? They just go on with their day. But see, when you got low energy, it's much, much, much more harder to recover from a situation, almost any situation. In this case right here, the situation that I'm going to speak upon is going to be somebody losing someone. You know what I'm saying? Because that one right there is the one that's least talked about, because don't nobody want to have a conversation about it because you talking about death and all this other stuff. But I think it's a misconception of what's really happening at that point. This is just my opinion, y'all. I'm just telling y'all my opinion. And I'm just speaking it as the road to recovery, okay? So, when your energy is low, like you will know that your energy is low, because like I said, it's really difficult to recover. It take a very long time for you to you know, get to a certain spot. You know what I'm saying? At that point, you are not vibrationally rich, so to say. You know what I'm saying? So the part about us where I believe we have to get back to as a people, I believe we have to get back to our spirituality. And when I say spirituality, I don't mean religious. I'm not talking about religious. I'm not talking about none of that stuff that you done learned in the church. You got to go back to what you knew before the church came about. Okay? And that right there is no kick to my people that go to the church, and then just stay with me. So, like, if your spirit, this right here is just what I went through. I'm speaking on myself. At the time of my son's passing, my spirit was so low. Everything was so low. You know what I'm saying? but it wasn't as bad as it could have gotten. Now, in order to see this right here, you're going to have to be able to understand things that you do not agree with, okay? So this right here is going to be one of the things to help you see, you know, that person's spirit a little bit better, because you're going to have to understand things that you don't agree with. And when you don't agree with it, you got to keep your mouth closed so you can hit the end result. Nonetheless, going back, my energy and everything was so low at that point. You know what I'm saying? That it was hard to grab anything. You know what I'm saying? It was harder to accept anything. Your growth, you can't see yourself moving forward, doing anything. You see what I'm saying? You don't want your energy to be that low. You can have people, I know people that have lost close loved ones, and you would be like, dang, it don't even seem like they're affected. So the fact that they don't come off as affected mean that they didn't care, or you know, they wasn't trying to show it in front of everybody, because it wasn't. See, sometimes you could look at a person and see that a person doesn't have moments. You could look at it in their face, but then sometimes you could look at a person and see, man, you ain't even shed a tear. Like, what? You see, that's because these people are in a different place spiritually. You see what I'm saying? And we got to know that right there, man, because we done got duped into this thing called death, and we done got ourselves scared of it. Everybody want to make it to heaven. Don't nobody want to die. You know what I'm saying? And so we need to start making spirituality, in my opinion, a thing again, like a normal, like you breathe. Our spirituality should be known more like a biological function, such as more like you breathe. You need to pay more attention to that right there part, because that right there part is going to tell you a lot about life, and the perception that you have for what you've been taught is going to differ. You're going to see it is going to differ. Once you differ that right there, and you can actually see and separate the apples from the oranges, man, listen, you're going to see a whole different world out here, man. You're going to see a whole different world out here. And so in order for to do that, I believe we need to go back to, you know, being, I think spirituality need to become back like a biological function to us. I mean, it is a biological function. We just ignore it. Stop ignoring it. Stop ignoring it, because the less spiritual you are, the harder something is, the harder you will take anything. You know what I'm saying? You could have somebody, you could tell somebody good. How many times y'all ever told somebody something and it was for the better good of them? You wasn't saying it to try to belittle them or nothing. And you even tried to sugarcoat it. You tried to walk on eggshells and thin ice. You tried to put the honey on, you tried to do, and they still took it offensively. They tried to take it like you came at them. They tried to take it like you was talking about, like you was trying to belittle them and all this other stuff. In all actuality, you really meant well. You honestly meant well. You know what I'm saying? Hold on, sorry. Well, guess what? That person that you were talking to, they wasn't spiritually rich at that time. They had a low vibration on the spiritual level. Not because they couldn't see what you was talking about. You can tell by the way that they act. See, when you on a low vibration and spiritually, you don't operate, you don't operate like a human, so to say. You don't operate like a rational human. A rational being. You don't operate in those in that light. When your spirit is so low, you that person that can't take sorry for an answer when somebody stepped on your shoes at the club. So you had to go make your point proven because you just bought those new pair of shoes that somebody stepped on. Yeah. You that person that got that low vibration, when you playing tit for tat. That tit for tat, oh, you did it? Okay, I'm going to do it too then. You see what I'm saying? In ways to harm the other person, not ways to help yourself. See, that's what you got to start doing. You got to start reclaiming your energy so you can recognize the spirituality in you. You got to reclaim your energy. So you can't be going out here giving your energy to everybody else, especially for these people that just lost somebody, because you dealing with a different monster that other people really can't fathom. You done lost a parent or a close grandparent. You done lost a child. Something like that right there, man. Can't nobody fathom what you really going through. They just trying to find the right words to say to you that they know that they can't find. And a lot of them be honest with you. What they'll tell you, man, I don't even know what to tell you. I'm lost for words. I don't know what to tell you. Keep your head up, man. Stay blessed. I mean, and then some of them get to the point to where they don't even know what to tell you, so much to the point they don't even come around. They can't, because the energy is so low. So what you got to do is you got to maintain your energy, because I'm going to tell you, in the process of that right there, believe it or not, you still going to have some people that's going to call you, and they're going to have problems too. And it might not be during the process before the burial or the funeral process or something like that. It could be weeks after that. You know what I'm saying? Somebody gonna call you back, and guess what? They're gonna have problems. See, when you doing the spiritual work on yourself, you gonna realize that I used to be able to be there, to be that shoulder that you can lean on. Not saying that, that I can't help you out or anything, but right now I'm doing work on myself. You know what I'm saying? When you start to do the work on yourself, you don't want that to be interrupted by somebody else that has, you get on the phone with somebody, man, their energy just low. That'll pull a lag on your energy when you're paying attention to it. When you're not paying attention to it, you will give your energy away for free and then wonder why you drain. You ain't got no energy. A lot of people done came and grabbed your energy, and you didn't see it because you look at energy in a physical sense. You got to see energy in a spiritual sense. You see what I'm saying? You would never be able to physically look at energy with the naked eye, because energy is everywhere around you, like, period. But we talking about the energy that you harvest within yourself. You got to learn how to start maintaining some of that for yourself, for your own well-being. This is what I had to learn. Because when I started doing it, when I actually started doing it, I was able to harvest up enough energy to feed my spirit, to be able to get in contact, like I say, with my son, or, try to get back on that level, which I'm still learning. This is the reason why I be doing these videos and stuff like that. So hopefully y'all can see a little progress somewhere in there, or hopefully it will help somebody else that done lost a loved one or have lost one, or, along that path right there. You see what I'm saying? See, you're going to have to learn to put no in your vocabulary. I'm telling you, you're going to have to learn to put no in your vocabulary. And because you're so used to giving, it's going to feel like you stingy. You know what I'm saying? You've been losing a lot of energy and feeling like you stingy. You can help people. Man, listen. Hey, when I cut that out for a couple of months and had to focus on myself, it wasn't because I wanted to be mean to anybody. It's that when you doing that work, you can't afford it. You really can't afford it. Your spirit won't allow you to do it, because you got a lot of work that you're doing, which brings me back to, like I said, to the funeral thing. The less spiritual you are, the harder you take it, the more work you got to do to yourself. That's how that right there worked for me. Okay? The less spiritual you are, the harder you take it. You know what I'm saying? And so, for the ones that aren't as spiritually rich like that, so to say, again, this right here is no knockdown to nobody. I'm no guru in this, okay? This right here, I'm learning just like y'all. Let's get that straight. So going back to what I was saying, for the ones that's not spiritually rich like that in that area, and it's quite common, guess what happened? They really hold on to the death part. They hold on to the physical part, man. They hold on to that right there. Because if you knew spiritually, which you probably won't find out until you actually pay attention to the spiritual, what's going on spiritually at the time of transition, when you understand that right there, you will see that, wait a minute, this person didn't die. You know what I'm saying? This person really didn't die. You ever heard my eyes playing tricks on me? You seen that body. That's what you seen. Because that's what you going back and that's what you remembering. When you go back and you remember, trying to remember somebody, you trying to remember the body, the physical, the part that connects you to recognition to their memory. So you use their name. You know what I'm saying? And when you use a name, whoever name that was, it's plenty of Michaels out here. It's plenty of Jeromes out here. But when they say Jerome, you know either I'm going to come up or whoever you know is Jerome. You see what I'm saying? But you looked at the body. You got to get to the spirit behind the body. You see what I'm saying? When you come connected with that right there and it shows you something different than what you've been taught, I'm telling you, you're going to undo a whole lot of stuff. So just like, for instance, when I figured out that, wait a minute, if I want to connect to my son, after I seen him and I seen how good it felt, I said, man, wait a minute, if I wanted to connect to my son, how would I do it? I would have to go back spiritually, because I know in concrete that I can't see him back on this realm, on the physical realm. I know this. So I can't beat myself up about that. I can't keep beating myself up about it, because at that point, now it's me doing damage to my own self, and which pulls away and pull down energy, in which now I can't be spiritually, I can't be spiritually present to be able to handle the duties that I need to handle. You know what I mean? So you got to come away from that physical part. Stop thinking about the physical part. You're going to have to disconnect yourself from the physical part. And that's the part that like I said, it's hard to do. Like I said, it's kind of like going dry, cold turkey, trying to go vegan overnight. You know what I'm saying? Some people can do it. The majority can't. So that energy, that low energy, like I said, the lower the energy, the less a person can take whatever's on the other end of what just happened. And that is in any situation. I just used the funeral situation in my case, because that right there had to be like the lowest point in my life. That had to be the lowest point in my life. You see what I'm saying? And like I said, even at that low point, to a certain degree, I felt vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? So you don't want to stay in that situation too long, because you don't want to become vulnerable to everybody else, that some people might not have your greater good. In my case, I had me an excellent support team. I had a good support team. I'm talking about my support team was a freaking one. Sister-in-laws, friends, my whole siblings, everybody. I'm talking about I had an excellent support team. But see, some people might not be that fortunate. You know what I'm saying? And it puts extra weight on you, the individual. And depending on how much energy you got and how spiritually connected you is, that could take you out the game, baby. That is not nothing to play with. Okay, this is why I be telling y'all to conserve your energy and don't just give it away to nobody like that, especially if you're going through something. You just had a loved one or somebody like that done passed or something, and they was really close to you and stuff like that. Hey, now is the time to really start to, if you want to see him again, you can see him again. You can see him again. But the thing is, it's going to be a transitioning process from you having to see him again from the way that you're used to seeing him physically versus the way that you would have to go by doing it on the spiritual end. Because you know that you can see him, you know you've seen him on the physical end. But you can also see him on the spiritual end. That might not sit well with you because of the way that you have to do it. And I ain't gonna lie, man, doing the process to me, I'm doing it right now as we speak. You know what I'm saying? But that process actually feel like it sucks because, dude, I'm not used to doing, hey, Junior, come here. And I'm used to somebody coming, right? That right there is a part that you got to break away from. And that right there seems to be the crux of it. And it make it really difficult. You know, it makes it really difficult to do, but you got to get away from that. You got to separate from that spiritual part because that right there was just temporarily. You know what I'm saying? The energy in it never died. And if we knew that right there upon all these funerals, upon all these deaths and all, man, I'm telling you, we wouldn't be doing this stuff that we doing, man. And it's hard to break away from. I get it. You know what I'm saying? It is very, very, very hard to break away from. That's why I say this stuff right here is definitely not for the weak because you will be exposed. That right there exposes you. Now, let me tell you something else. Why I'm at it. Again, why I'm looking for my son in the spiritual, because that's why I seen him at, y'all. That's why I found him at on the spiritual end. And again, I didn't have to open up the Bible and go to church to do it. It just happened. So that's why I'm telling y'all what. So listen. Now you go to him over here on the spiritual end where he at. Now, like I told you, in doing that, for what I've encountered, you might not encounter this, but from what I've encountered, man, when I did that and I went to try to look for him and looking for the spirit and trying to connect back with that right there, it was like you start plugging into other people's spirits that was around you. Like, huh? You start looking around like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, you start analyzing everything. So that right there was like, it felt like, how can I put this? When I went to go search for my son in spirit, what I learned in that process connected me to other people's spirit or energy. You know what I'm saying? At times, it was like a byproduct. That's what I would say. For something I didn't even bargain for. I didn't ask for that. I'm trying to get where my son was, and I knew that I couldn't get back to him on the physical end. So I say, well, you know what? I just try to do it on the spiritual end. But spiritually, you got to concentrate. You know what I'm saying? And then you got to understand that when you see this person spiritually, you got to understand that, yes, you did see that person. It wouldn't have came to what you call your mind if you didn't see it. Whatever came to your mind, you actually did see it on the spiritual end. You did see it. From what this is what I'm telling myself. Yes, you did see that. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't see nothing that don't come to mind first before you see it with these eyes. It come to your what you call your mind first, which I call your spirit. You see what I'm saying? So you seen this right here before it came out these eyes, and then what you seen with these eyes projected back what you thought you seen. Now this time right here, the eyes are not projecting back what you are seeing here. And therefore you are writing it off as it's just my mind. It's just in my mind. Yes, it is. It's just in your mind. That's where your spirit is, in your mind. And you writing it off. You writing it off. See, stop writing that. It's just in my mind. No, stop writing that off. You understand? You can't write that off because everything that has happened to you done started in the mind from the time you was born. Probably more than likely before you was born. It started in the mind first. And you keep writing those little things off. Maybe it's in the mind. No, it's not just in the mind. Like the way that you putting it. You know what I mean? It's definitely in the mind though. And so Those little things that come up in your mind, that might pop up in your spirit, some of those things you can't write off. I wouldn't write off none of them until I have made sure that it's factual. You know what I'm saying? But I wouldn't write off none of that stuff because that's your guidance system. Man, something told me not to go over there. Now look what happened. Car won't start. And I knew something told me not to go over there. Look what happened. A fight done broke out. And I knew these people done called you over here and to have a good time. You come over here to have a good time. They want you to cab them around. You know what I'm saying? Stop here, stop there. I knew I shouldn't have came over here. See, when somebody called you on the phone, I knew I shouldn't have answered that phone call. See, just because you respond to somebody doesn't necessarily make you obligated to whatever it is that they want or need you to do. Me, I was almost jumping at it. Almost at every point, I was jumping at other people's aid. You know what I'm saying? And realizing at the same time that the very people who aid that I jumped at, some of these people I knew that I could not come back and get that same favor. And I still helped out anyway, giving away my energy. So when I got so far down and I was depleted, you know what I'm saying? Then you slam me with with my son, that's more depleting. You know what I'm saying? It was like I was left up to me to do this right here, and me only. This is why I tell y'all, be careful about that, because when you hurting, I mean, there's other people that's hurting around you, don't get it twisted, but the pain that you feel, you doing it to yourself. And I hate to break it to you that way. I'm trying to put it as soft as I can, but that's what I realized what I was doing. I was doing it to myself, man. I was doing it to myself. And not only was I doing it to myself, when this right here happened, you know what I'm saying? I kept doing it. I kept doing it, and I kept doing it. But the thing about it was after I seen all the worst parts of it, like after I seen all the worst parts of what I was doing to myself, it was like, okay, well, it can't get no worse than this. So guess what? This is where I am, where I'm at now. This is why I'm talking and speaking to where I'm at now, because I've already seen the worst of the worst. I done seen it physically. I've had to deal with it. I've had to live with it, and it's still gonna be there if I keep focusing on what I had to look at. You know what I'm saying? And I deep dove like that right there, so it don't be in the back of my mind on what if I didn't do this? What if I didn't do that? You know what I'm saying? That's why I wanted to look at it. It was like I wanted to look at it. I wanted to see that. Me personally, I wanted to see that. You know what I'm saying? But at the same token, it's a trade-off in doing that. Okay, you want to see it, but you're gonna have to sleep on this right here for you know what I mean? And when that happened right there, I was like, nope, I ain't doing that no more. And so I left that alone. That's what made me think that, wait a minute, in order for me not to see him the way I last seen him on autopsy pictures, I gotta disconnect from the last time I seen him, which was on the autopsy pictures, right? So I have to disconnect myself from that and go back to the way that I seen him spiritually. It didn't look like that. He looked normal. So that right there said, if I got to disconnect from that negative picture that I seen, that I knew that couldn't nobody else stomach, if I got to disconnect from that right there, then what about all the other pictures? All this stuff right here comes with it, y'all. You can't pick and choose. You can't pick and choose which ones you want to take, because these are the good ones, these are the bad ones, and all this other stuff. Just that sentiment and having to get rid of that memory. Don't look at it, get rid of it, and act like you never seen it, so you can move on, because then you're going to focus on the last time you seen them, and that's not going to get you nowhere spiritually. That's designed to keep you down. You vulnerable. People are coming in, and you would never see it. You wonder how you get so low, because you was too vulnerable. You ain't never see it. You never seen it coming. This right here is what I'm just telling you through my experience. Ain't nothing that I read. And so, like I said, I'm gonna be sharing my experience, with y'all. I've been quiet for a while, so I'm trying to, do this and hopefully help other people, man. Because, like I said, losing a child, it really ain't that a parent really shouldn't have to lose a child, man. But when you understand it a little better, you cope with it a lot better. You know what I'm saying? It helps your coping mechanism a lot better. You know what I mean? So going back to what I was saying, in order for you to truly, and you got to be careful in what you say, because if I say it's going to be difficult doing it, then guess what? Somehow or another, it's going to become a way to get difficult. Somehow or another, when you say something, it almost is like it come to life somewhere down the road. So I got to be careful with my words here. This is what you learn doing the spiritual thing. You got to be careful with what you say, because we be running off at the mouth and not being careful with what we saying and wondering why stuff happening, because you don't realize what you said 2 days ago, So it comes off. That's what I would say. It comes off as being difficult to make that transition to come from looking at it from a physical end to like a spiritual end. You know what I'm saying? It's bitter. It's bitter. You know what I'm saying? It don't taste good. It's not a comfortable spot. It's definitely not a comfortable spot. You can forget that. That's out the question. But when you in that spot and you start to grab a hold to that situation after you done sat in it for so long, eventually you start to grab the ropes to it. Now we got a healing process that's birthing, because you done seen the worst of the worst. Now you ain't got no other choice at this point but to try to see the best out of it now. Because, looking at the worst part that you already done seen where it done led you. You seen where it done put you. And the people that's around you, they might not know no better, so I'm not faulting them, but they will keep you in that setting like that. They will keep you in that setting like that. And it's not because they want to. They're trying to be sensitive to your situation and what you got going on, and not try to overstep their boundaries that could possibly trigger you. But here's the thing, that only triggers the low vibration people. You see what I'm saying? And that's why I tell people, you don't have to walk on eggshells around me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not low vibration like that right there. You know what I'm saying? Where you could trip me by, no. That only happened to the people that got low vibration about themselves. Okay? And so these are the things that's one of the things that happen that you tend to notice once you making that transition into that healing process right there. Because this healing process just didn't start with me getting on YouTube or anything, making videos. Yesterday and today, this right here just didn't start. It was just something that said, just share it with somebody, because hopefully it'll help somebody. Somebody done lost their son out there. Somebody done lost their daughter. Somebody done lost a grandchild, a close relative, somebody young, somebody old, somebody that meant something to them. They have. And, that road to recovery, depending on where your mindset is, it can be long. It can make you do things that you never thought that you would do. Trust me, I know through experience. It will make you do it. If you're not strong enough, you will go through with it. Them the people that commit suicides. These are people that fall off into a drug pattern. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, they didn't look like that before that person right there passed away. And sometimes you can look at it and see that it's stress, because in many cases it starts off as stress, but when they turn to substance abuse, you will see their life dwindle. They're not flourishing as much as they used to before they lost that really close loved one. You know what I mean? These are the people that you can tell. This is how you gauge the spirituality and energy in that person, because the spirituality and energy are not the same thing. Let's get that straight right now. So you're going to keep on hearing me refer to them, you know what I'm saying, as one or another. Spirituality and energy is not the same thing. Energy could be used with force. You know what I'm saying? Energy just could be present at any point in time. Spirituality comes from up here. You see what I'm saying? Energy could be used for good or bad. Spirituality can too. But it's a difference between spirituality and energy. You see what I'm saying? Low energy, spirituality. High energy, spirituality. You know, they can be interchangeable, but the way that I'm using it, the way I explained it to you is the way that I'm using it. You know what I'm saying? So you got to peep these things out. You know, when people, that's when you're going to see it the most, when people pass. That's when you're going to see it the most. Typically, you are at your most vulnerable state. You know, your natural vulnerable state when somebody pass away. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, when you go into that healing process and everything, sometimes that healing process could run so deep that you cannot even be broken from it. You can't be broken from it. And in that process of why that's happening, at one point you used to be that person that was, you know, jack on the spot with stuff. Guess what? When those same very issues come right back around to you when you in your healing process and you so deep in it, the ones that get angry at you or mad at you because you like, nah, not this time, I can't do it. They don't realize that you healing or transforming. They don't realize that you actually, you know what I'm saying, going through something. And so they turn their nose up at you, they get mad at you, and guess what just happened? They just exposed themselves. This is what I'm talking about when you doing your spiritual cleansing or you trying to heal yourself, doing real spiritual work about yourself that cannot lie about you, that you can't even tell yourself a lie about. You know what I'm saying? Now you telling them for whatever, they don't know that you're doing this. This right here, this is what I'm telling you. They don't know that you're doing this. You're doing this, but they don't know that you're doing this. And the second that you said no to something that you would have, that you commonly said yes to, and they get an attitude, or they start talking bad about you, or they start looking at you sideways because you ain't doing it no more, and all this other stuff, and then now they energy change towards you and you can feel it. See, that's what I'm talking about. Now, that's what I'm talking about in terms of the energy, not the spirit, the energy, because now you can see that they energy have changed towards you, where because you ain't give them something, now when you get back inside their presence now, you can feel you know, you can feel it. It's just something that's not right, but that feel kind of off. You can feel a shift in your energy when they enter that room. You know what I'm saying? Or when you enter that room and you just told them no to a favor. See what I'm saying? That's what you want to focus. That's the energy. That's what I'm talking about right there. And that energy right there is going to expose their spirit right there. That energy is going to expose their spirit, because when they walk in and they see you and stuff like that, you know, and they say that you didn't help them out, you know what I'm saying, on the issue that you always helped them out on. You ain't give them a ride somewhere, and now they was late to where they had to go. And they say it's because you would normally take me. Now I had to find another ride and all this. Look, their energy is exposing their spirit. You got to pay attention to it. But no, what you want to do is you want to match your spirit with theirs. So now you can't even recognize the spirit no more because you arguing back with them. You arguing back with them. So now they done took the energy that you wasn't even arguing with at first. Now you arguing with them, which means that they done took your energy because they got you to argue with them back and forth. They said something to trigger you and you couldn't maintain that. And now here you is going back and forth with them. Both of y'all energy low now. And see, when your energy ain't low like that, you will recognize that that person dealing with low energy right there. What you gonna do is you gonna just simply be quiet and observe. This right here is that part that kicks in that I tell you that you got to be able to understand things that you don't agree with. This is where that part right there kicks in at, because now they're going to say some stuff that's going to be triggering to you that you got to jump in and say something. But what you going to do? You going to shut up and you going to let this right here ride out because you want to see what they really trying to tell you. And they going to tell you. They're going to tell you what it is. They going to tell you what it is that they're trying to say without saying it with the words coming out their mouth. And you going to read what you call between the lines. That is your spirit, not your energy. That is your spirit reading in between the lines. That's why I be trying to tell y'all, this is how y'all got to start recognizing it. And I'm trying to point out different ways that you can recognize the spirit. Stop writing off those little sayings that reading in between the lines. Stop writing that off as just a little riddle and stuff like that. Because when you read between the lines, that means that you are seeing stuff and hearing stuff and understanding things that you are not hearing, seeing, and understanding with these eyes, with this mouth, and these ears. You're doing it spiritually at that point. That's the way you say, oh yeah, I read between the lines on it. I knew what you was talking about. That means that the stuff that you heard physically was a non-factor. You was operating spiritually. And you didn't even think nothing of it. The only thing you did, yeah, I know what you was talking about. You see what I'm saying? Stop writing that kind of stuff off. Stop writing that kind of stuff off. Because that right there, again, that right there was a guide to you. Think about that. Think about that. You in a dangerous situation and somebody say something out their mouth that's with you, and you react the way that you knew that they meant it. They said something different, but spiritually you was connected like, nah, that ain't what he mean. And then as soon as y'all get done, whatever y'all, and y'all meet up, you turn around and, yeah, dude, I seen you. As soon as you did this right here, I already knew. As soon as I seen you do this. Well, soon as I seen you do that right there, I already knew what time it was. I knew when you put down the cup. I knew what time it was. How did you know that? Your spirit told you. Your spirit told you. I knew that was about to happen. How you know that? Your spirit told you. And that right there was not a fluke. It was not a fluke. So this is what I'm talking about. We got to start paying attention to that. Stop writing that stuff off. And I believe that, for medical reasons, we were taken away from that. You know what I'm saying? Meaning that when we were getting vaccinated, coming up, it was so we don't remember what I'm telling y'all right now. And now that right there is wearing off, you're able to get a clear mind and see, hey, wait a minute, hold on. See? You're able to operate a little bit more clear. Trust me, I am a work in progress. I am not by far any means an ace at this right here. You know what I'm saying? I just come to I come down different paths and understand different things. So now that right there led me to a different question. Well, I'm not even going to get to that because, yeah. Yeah. I believe that, let me say that. Let me say it. I'm going to say it anyway. With the stuff that I've come to a conclusion with, stop letting people, and I might lose y'all on this one, but I got good reason to say what I'm about to say, okay? So hear me out. Hear me out. Stop letting people tell y'all that y'all are not perfect, because that right there, just based off of from where I went, that right there would have to be incorrect too. Because see here, look at this right here. If somebody told everything happens in what you call the mind, I call the spirit, whatever. So everything starts up here in the mind, and then the body reacts You tell yourself to do something, your body follows. So if you telling yourself subconsciously and spiritually and out loud that, nah, I ain't perfect, guess what? You're going to operate in an imperfect way, and you're going to justify it. You're not going to hold yourself accountable, and your justification for doing such act will be justified by ain't nobody perfect. We all make mistakes. And that don't leave you no room to get to a healing process because you're not taking accountability. You just made an excuse and justified to do whatever it was that you just did. Ain't nobody perfect. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. You are perfect. You are perfect. The only thing that makes your body not perfect is because you wear it down and you have to get a new body. But spiritually, that right there can't die. Your energy doesn't die. So find me the imperfection in the spirit. You see what I'm saying? Like, you don't know what imperfection is unless you know what perfection is. Because again, going back to what I was saying before, if one person is arguing and you turn around and argue with them, both of y'all energy is low. You don't know who's wrong where. If you on the outside looking in from a distance, you don't know who wrong where at this point in time. Same thing when it comes down to knowing whether or not you're perfect or not. You have to recognize imperfection in order to know that it's not perfect. So in order for you to do that, you have to be perfect first. You can't be imperfect, low energy, and then say that something is perfect, get something perfect out of that. It doesn't work that way. You know what I'm saying? So when people say that they're not perfect, I beg to differ. You might not know that, but if you did know that, from my perspective, you are. Even if you don't know, you are perfect. Because God was perfect. You made in his image, not this image. Remember that spirit I was telling y'all about? Image. He's made in that same image. You perfect. What are you talking about? I lost somebody somewhere when they said that they not perfect. To say that right there would be to put your abilities that you really have, you minimize that by saying that you're not perfect. How can you say that you're not perfect? Oh, I make mistakes. We fall short. You know what I'm saying? Fall short of glory. You know what I'm saying? And well, my thing is, how did you know that? You wouldn't know that you made a mistake if you wasn't perfect. See, like I said, perfection recognizes imperfection. Imperfection cannot recognize perfection because it's imperfected. It's imperfect. You see what I'm saying? It would never be able to recognize perfection. I'm gonna say it again. Perfection recognizes imperfection. As you walking in saying that picture on the wall is kind of crooked. Let me go straighten it up. See what I'm saying? In order for you to know that, you have to be perfect. If you wasn't perfect, you wouldn't have even recognized it because you wouldn't have been on the same frequency as that right there. You see what I'm saying? So, that right there is what you pay attention to. And when you realize that, you say, hey, wait a minute, I am perfect. What I think I can do. Everything that was out here, think about it, y'all. It started from the mind first. This phone I'm talking on, my glasses, my clothes, the words popping up on the screen, all this right here stuff started in somebody's mind first, and then they brought it into fruition. You see what I'm saying? So everything starts up here at the mind. So when you start having people playing mind games and stuff like that on you, you know what I'm saying? Intentional mind games. Sometimes they do it intentional, but in many cases they do it in an oblivious manner, meaning that they just didn't know. They had no idea what they were saying. They were just speaking. But when you start getting into that, you know, when you start learning your own spirit and stuff like that, you're going to start seeing what they saying. They not going to know this though, because they used to speaking to what they speaking. But you, on the other end, you gonna know because when they speaking to you, when you having a conversation with you, they being scanned, and there's no way that you cannot scan them. That's the way your spirit gonna operate when you finally tap back in. Your spirit gonna operate like a biological function, like you breathing. Like you can't stop breathing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you can't hold your breath long enough before, you know what I'm saying, on your own, before you have to, you know, start breathing again. You see what I'm saying? It's a biological function. Your eyes, the way your eyes blink, that's a biological function. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's just certain things that the way you hear it in many cases, you know, that's a biological function. With that spirit, when that spirit becomes a biological function, or it feels like you on your way to to that spiritual being a biological function within the spirit and containment of yourself, man, listen, when that bad boy start working, hey, it's going to be like automatic. That's going to be like a biological thing. When you walk up to people, they can say, hi, how you doing? And all this other stuff. And you can respond. They'll never know that right there is what you're doing. And they just going to be themselves. This right here is how you're going to see the spirits. This is how you're going to see the separation. Because when we get this thing called demons, we get this scary thing, the Grim Reaper, the black face, and all this other stuff. They try to scare the hell out you with that stuff. Let me tell you something. These demons is in people that look like me and you. But you got to be able to sniff it out through their spirit. And if your spirit is just as nasty and grimy as theirs, you won't be able to sniff it out. You know what I'm saying? At least to that degree. You have to be to their degree to not be able to sniff that out. And trust me, the ones that take what I'm saying and then try to camouflage themselves into it, you can't do it long. Your spirit won't allow you to do it long. You ain't got enough training. So even if you tried to act this out right here, even if you tried to act that out, you wouldn't be able to do it for long, because your spirit, that's not in your spirit for you to do. You know what I'm saying? So you would not be able to act that out for a long period of time. If you spiritually, the only how you can do that right there, that got to be you. And in order for that to be you, if that wasn't you, that means that you're going to have to do some work. And in the process of doing that work, while you're doing that and you're separating yourself from everybody, you know, and I'm not saying separating yourself from everybody. I'm talking about like separate, like right now I'm in the car by myself. That type of separation. When you separate yourself from everybody and you get deep into healing and understanding things to where only you can hear yourself. When you get to that point right there, anybody that's coming talking about, I ain't heard from you in a long time, why you don't call nobody, and you ain't text me back, and hey, listen, it ain't that you don't want to do it. It's when sometimes you can go back to doing it and your spirit will say, wait a minute, do that later. Finish listening to this. Don't break that. You healing right now. Don't break that. Don't answer that text message right there. Yeah, you can get back with them later, but don't break that. And typically what we'll do is we'll break it. Hold on, I can pause this video real quick, and then we'll go to the text message. Now you just broke the whole, you broke the chemistry and the message from that when you was following it so good. Somebody called you. That right there would be, I ain't gonna say the devil, died or a demon or nothing like that right there, but that right there is kind of like, I want to say like a test to see if I got you in tune. This is what I took from it. It was like, I got you in tune, right? With reading whatever this is. And you so in tune of it, I got to break your concentration so your phone start ringing. Now you pick up that phone, it's hard for you to get back to where when you come back to that message, you got to rewind it or probably start it all the way back over and get the move for it. No. Your energy was already rolling with the initial message when you was getting it. Stay with it. Don't let nothing come in between that, because now that right there is what the best word I could use for that right there would probably be a test to come in, and you know, it's a distraction to come in and block. You know what I'm saying? Because when you start getting on this path right here, you're going to start noticing that there's going to be a lot of things that's going to come inside your way that's really going to try to offset where you're going. But they not going to know that they doing it though. So you can't fault them. That's the thing. That's where your discipline gonna come into play at. Cause you ain't gonna be able to fault these people because they ain't gonna know what's happening. I'm telling you, they not gonna know what's happening. And this right here, I'm learning at it, and I'm saying this as I go. This ain't nothing that I've this right here isn't nothing that I took classes on or nothing like that. This right here is just something that as I go, I'm saying it. So y'all hearing it for the first time live, just like me. You know what I'm saying? I'm just pretty much recording as I go. You know what I'm saying? And this right here, what I want to say is what I want to say is inside of you. And this right here is the part that the church could never grab out of me. I'm sorry. The church could never grab this part out of me that I'm talking about right now. I couldn't get to this point by going to church and listening to all these other people. Because if you think about it. If I'm giving you my testimony right now, if you could believe it in the times that we're living in, let's say they write a book of Jerome. Guess what? Jerome was drinking. Jerome was smoking. Jerome done been to jail before. Jerome wasn't, he got kids out of wedlock. You know what I'm saying? He's had children out of wedlock. Nah, he learned from, he didn't just go out here with all these multiples having kids out of wedlock, but he got kids out of wedlock, all this stuff right here. Now, they put my book in the Bible, right? And this right here is the book of Jerome, right here. Do you really have to go by that? That's just from me. You taking parts out of my life and you interjecting the pieces that actually work for your life. And you make them part of yours to make a whole piece, to try to make yours whole. That's what we were doing in the Bible. In my mind, that's the reason why I could never put it together, because those right there were other people's stories. Those were other people's experiences. You know what I'm saying? I got my own experience, and it's not really telling me how to touch in with where I need to touch in. It's telling me to, hey, believe in Jesus. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's saying. Believe in an entity on the outside of me. And they've been telling my generation of people that right there for years and years and years. So you stay stuck in this one place, church, for years and years and years, but you never really make it to where you're supposed to make it. Up here. And the church could never connect me with up here, because they kept on throwing in outside characters, such as Allah, Yeshua, God, Jesus, whatever you want to call them. You see what I'm saying? And like I said, I'm not saying that in a disrespectful manner to the religious community. I'm just saying it was never spoken to me that it was me the whole time. I was believed it was somebody else on the outside of me, and I was trying to figure out, and you know what, just me talking to y'all, I just figured it out just now. That's the reason why I couldn't connect to the church. That's the reason why I couldn't connect to the church, because they always connected. I could never connect myself with what I'm telling y'all about right now. The church couldn't connect me to that. They told me I had to go through Jesus to do that. And I found that really hard to grab. You know what I'm saying? However, I will say this. With the knowledge that I have now, I will be more than willing to go back and thumb through that Bible. I've never read the Bible front to back. Ever. What I did was poke holes in the little parts that people would come at me and give me all these little Bible verses and stuff like that. I poke holes in it because it didn't make no sense. Why? Because I wasn't spiritually there at the time. You understand? So now that I feel like I got a little bit of spirituality somewhere in there, just a little bit, or at least that I'm trying to see things a little different, I don't mind going back reading the Bible again and listening to it, you know what I'm saying, with my own set of ears versus what somebody else tried to tell me from their perspective. Because that's what the pastor doing when he up there every Sunday. Yeah, he giving you the word, but he gonna take that word And he gonna redress that right there so you can understand it. So he taking it out of context. I mean, keeping it in context, but giving you a different scenario so you can understand what it was that David went through at that time. When Job, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people say you need to read the book of Job. I've never read this book of Job. I ain't read none of that stuff in the Bible, you know, word for word. None of that stuff right there. I was just taking little pieces and I was poking holes in it when people was telling me that stuff right there. You know what I'm saying? Not really giving it a real good look at it. You know what I'm saying? Because I wrote it completely off. Let's just say that right there. That'd be fair to say that I completely wrote that thing off, and I haven't went back to actually read it. So now, looking at things a little differently, what I will be open to do is go back and read that thing, you know, read that Bible and see if it can make any sense now. Because the teaching done took us so far away from our spiritual, from what we are spiritual, to now everybody is religious. You see what I'm saying? You hardly hear anybody say, no, that you don't hear nobody you don't hear nobody referring to that lady, that old lady with the church hat that's still around, that can still drive, with all these beads and crosses and all this other stuff, and Bibles hanging across they dashboard, all these crosses and stuff they done decorated their car with. Ain't now one nobody ever went to those people and said, hey man, that's a very spiritual person right there. That person's spiritual. No, you wouldn't say, man, that person religious. That person very religious. That person that always, every time you have a conversation with them, and they always got to bring up God and Jesus and praise the Lord and all this other stuff and hallelujah and ain't he good and won't he do it and all those sayings that they come up with, right? You see what I'm saying? Those people. You know what I'm saying? Those people right there is the ones that we talking about. So, like, I be careful of that right there, because listen, that stuff right there, that Bible thumping thing, for the more people that read it seems like the more religious that they get. But I never heard nobody say that they spiritual. Because when you become spiritual, you will realize that everything, the work that you had to do to understand the stuff that y'all hear within the sounds of my voice, you would understand that you had to do all that stuff within. There wasn't an outside source that you had that came and worked on you. You had to do that from within. And you had to do that alone. You had to do that by yourself, and you need to do that alone. And your journey is not for you to bring somebody else along with at the time when you're doing it. You got to take that journey, and you got to take that lonely walk down that lonely highway by your lonely self. That's how you gonna get your best clarity without no outside interruptions, no kids, no phone, no music, no none of that stuff. Just a quiet spot where you could think to yourself, and you don't have to do it just one time. You don't have to do it twice. You do it as many times as needed until you get it. You see what I'm saying? You do it as many times until you get it. You know what I mean? Now, in doing that right there, you can't be on your spiritual journey and stuff like that and still being nasty to people, still talking, you know what I'm saying, sassy to people and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? There's one thing when you joking, we get that right there, but it's another thing when you trying to undercut and try to use joke as an excuse. That right there, those type of people right there, see, you ain't fully healed. You like a chameleon. You the same person, you just dressing up like you healed. Because a spiritually healing person won't allow such low vibrational things to come out their mouth like that. You know what I'm saying? They're going to see it for what it is. They're going to try that if they can help somewhere. Maybe they might help or something like that. And they're going to do it from the sincerity out their heart. And they ain't even going to look back at it and say, hey, look what I did for you. You know what I'm saying? They're going to go on with their day like nothing else. They don't have nothing else to say about it. You see what I'm saying? So them right there are the ones that you got to watch out for too in this process. That's why you do it by yourself, because the person that you could be going to that's coaching you along the journey could be that person. It sound good, and because you in a vulnerable state, you go along with it because it sound like that is grabbing. You know what I'm saying? It's something that it can grab at you with. You know what I'm saying? And there you go. So I highly recommend that you just do. This is something that you do on your own. You do it on your own. Don't have no malice intent that comes with that, because let me tell you something. If you have malice intent to come with that, that's when you then become the demon. Okay? Whoever this is, see, this is what I'm talking about. Whenever you do this right here, the practices that I'm telling you, whenever you do this and you got malice in your heart, you got hatred in your heart, that's when you become the demon. Because now you're using the spiritual gifts for evil. Because what I'm telling you, if you use the wrong way, you can use it for evil. But here's the problem with that that's not being said. If you take what I'm telling you right now, because I'm telling you with good intent, if you take what I'm telling you right now and you use it for evil, or you use it as a discourse, and then the repercussions for that, because you know how to work spiritually, the repercussions for that is going to come back 10 times fold on you, because you understand, not necessarily, in my opinion, not necessarily because God is going to do it, is because you understand the powers that you are dealing with. That these regular people out here, the normal people that ain't did that work, they don't know that, but you do, which makes you that right there. If you can do stuff like that right there, that would make you a special person. If you could do stuff like that. Man, I do stuff like that. It just came normal, y'all. I swear. Listen, when you do this stuff, it just come normal. I never looked at myself as being special or anything. I ain't trying to say all that. I wasn't looking at myself as that, but the stuff that I'm telling y'all, it just coming off. It just come off the tongue. You know what I'm saying? It just come off the spirit. It come off the tongue. It ain't nothing that I recite, because I swear, man, listen, when you saying this stuff too, even what I'm telling y'all, like the healing process, I'm be teaching myself stuff while I'm talking to y'all. I be teaching myself stuff live while I'm talking to y'all. But see, here's the thing. I'm not going to keep on making these videos too long and stuff like that. I want to keep on going. I'll be here for the next 3 hours. I promise you I'll be here for the next 3 hours. I am about to get off this thing right here. Y'all welcome anytime I do a video. Y'all do not need my permission, because not every time I might put share, not every time would I put highlight or something like that. But if y'all see me on here and y'all see this video, they're only doing 30 days now. Y'all can share this video to somebody that y'all think might need the help. You know what I'm saying? And guess what? I'm not just going to stop right here. I'm going to keep on coming and coming and coming. And it ain't going to necessarily always be about stuff spiritual and stuff like that. But I am going to, keep coming on about my journey, and, I guess kind of keep you guys updated on what's going on, man. Because like I said, I kept y'all updated with what was going on with the courts and everything, and, keeping you guys in tune on that. So, hey, I'm going to give you something else that you can look at. You can look at the recovery. How about that? We'll call this right here the recovery. We can't stay in that sunken place, people. We can't stay there. So if I could try to find my way up out the rut, I'm pretty sure, other people could look at this and find their way up out the rut as well. What's this right here? Today's date is the 16th, April 16th, 2025. And I lost my son November 9th, 2024. I guess that's well, like I said, that felt like an eternity to me. It felt like an eternity. It might not be long looking at it, on the calendar, but that right there came from intense work. You know what I'm saying? That had to be done mentally, not intense work such as I had to find and thumb through the Bible for the right answer. No. Only thing that the Bible could do for me at this point right now, for me, is confirm the stuff that I've learned on my own without the Bible to be true through other sources that's in that Bible. You see what I'm saying? After that right there, then you don't need to keep on going and referencing the Bible once you get there, because you will already know. You already know. Stop putting yourself behind the 8-ball talking about something you don't know. You don't know. You don't know. You're not perfect. God is the only one. No, you know this right here. You know this stuff. You know it. You. So, I'm gonna get with y'all later on. You know what? Let me I'm sorry, let me read some of these comments real quick. I don't want to be rude and not read some of these comments. It's quite a bit. I ain't gonna be able to get everybody. Walking that gift, thank you. Thank you, thank you. That's growth. You decide how to get through this life. I realize that too. That our thoughts create our reality, and suffering is a huge culprit. That is true. That is true. She said, yes, I got a reading the day before yesterday, and my cousin called and I didn't answer. Then Mari answered off my tablet, and I yelled like, no, hang up, because I'm going to call you back, because I was definitely tuned in. Yeah. See, you got to. You can't, you know what I'm saying? You when you tuned in, you don't want to do that. You don't want to break that, and you shouldn't break it. Take a look at DEA, black and brown races, and DNA, other races. They take advantage of us spiritually with electronic, social media, and then use scare tactics to steal our DNA. Well, you know what? When it comes down to that right there, what you're talking about, sir, is physical. That right there is what you're going to find on the physical realm, because on the spiritual realm, they can take physically, yeah, they can get physical. They can't get spiritual DNA out of you. See that, and that's the part right there that they don't want you to know about. That's actually you. They got you thinking that this right here is you. Yeah, you can pull DNA from this all day. You can't pull spiritual DNA from them that they still trying to figure out today. Because that spiritual DNA, and that's a divine DNA that's within yourself. That's within your spirit. That comes with you at birth. And again, probably before birth. So no matter how much DNA that they pull from you, only thing they could probably do at best is replicate another one of you. You know what I'm saying? At best. But they can't give that person the spirit. That's why they say these people that are clones, they don't have no soul. And they don't. If there are clones out here, which I'm pretty sure it is, but if there are clones out here, the ones that are clones, they don't have a spirit. They come off to you and talk to you, and you think that everything is everything, but they don't have a spirit. They don't have and for those that don't have a spirit, them are some dangerous people, because there's no limits there go with you. And you got to be able to point that out. So you got to be able to recognize your spirit. Don't let them take you off that spiritual path talking about electronics. You see what I'm saying? Talking about race. Talking about the police. Talking about injustice. Talking about homelessness. See, all these right here are low energy terms that they like to use with us. And they become quite frequent. Hospital. Think about that for a minute. Hospital. You don't even think nothing about hospital. Did you ever think that the hospital is the sickest place that you can go? Because guess what? That's where all the people that go that need to be healed physically, where you think they go? They go to the hospital. They get too sick, they go to the hospital. Broken leg, you go to the hospital. You don't go to the hospital because you happy. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah. That right there is, yeah, that's what I wanted to say. But like I said, man, y'all share this if y'all want to. If y'all feel free to share this. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this on up. If I have another, if something else come back to me, hey, I'll come back again today with another, video, kick it with y'all, chop it up. But if not, I definitely will see y'all tomorrow. I'm not sure what time I'll be on. It's not a dedicated time. That's another thing. See, when I do this right here stuff, I don't do it at a certain time. This stuff isn't scripted, the stuff that I tell you. So I got to do it when it come to me. You know what I'm saying? And that's the way you're going to be. And it ain't nothing that you are doing purposely. That's just how it happens. You know what I'm saying? It just happened that way. When it comes to you, say, boom, okay, I can do it right now because the spirit is in you at the time for you to do it. And then when you talk, it is much more clear. Not only is it clear, you much more, your words, everything is just, you can run with it a lot better. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot more genuine. You see what I'm saying? That's the word I was really looking for. It's more genuine. You know what I'm saying? It's more authentic. When you do it at the time when it comes to your mind. Not, oh, that's something that I could think about later on and do. Because when you think about that same idea later on, it don't hit like it was hitting at that time when you thought about doing it. So now you don't do it now. You know what I'm saying? It was just something that went in the back of your mind. See, we got to start acting on that right there because that's your spirit telling you to do something. Your energy will rise up and your spirit, you can hear it say, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. Do it. Go ahead. Go. And then yourself gonna be like, nah, I don't think I can do it. See, that's your lower end talking to you. Nonetheless, y'all have yourself a good day. And I will talk to y'all later. Thanks.